Hey everyone, Emily Brown here, owner of E.E. Brown Leatherworks. I create high-end decor for luxury spaces all out of leather. I get a lot of questions about my commission process, how I came up with it, how it works. So today I'm going to be taking you through the start to finish of my commission process from design to completion, and we're going to review my most recent project for Birkenstock USA. Step 1 is the intro meeting and design scope. I met with Birkenstock to go over their vision for the Nashville store, how big the space was, what they were looking to do, and what their timeline was. After we discussed all the details, we both agreed to move on to the design phase. My design phase consists of a design fee. Depending on the size and scale of the project, I charge between a $200 to $500 design fee that is non-refundable. However, it goes towards the final purchase price of the piece if both parties agree to move forward. Step 2 is to review the designs. Now, I submitted 2 designs to Birkenstock and they decided on my second design, but wanted to see a few more variations of the design. Step 3 is the proposal stage. After putting some finishing touches on the design they selected, I presented 2 new designs. The first one was more of the neutral Birkenstock typical colors of their shoes, and at the bottom I showed what I would be doing with the leather and the detailing. Then the second design, they wanted to spice it up a bit, add some more fun, bright colors. Again, I sourced these directly from Birkenstock's color palette on their website, and I just loved the funky colors with this one. In each of my proposals, I include a technique and design appendix just in case they want to send this off to someone else and that person hasn't seen my work before. Step 4 was the final design phase. Even though they loved the funky bright colors, it was a little too over the top for what they typically do, so we both agreed to go forward with a more neutral approach and then add in some Birkenstock blue to give it that little extra pop. We also added in my woven leather technique to a few of the tiles to represent the shape of a Birkenstock shoe. Step 5 is the quoting phase. I use a template for all of my projects that breaks down my cost of materials versus my cost of labor and gives me an accurate price that I should be charging my clients. I also create a materials list, so when they sign that contract, they pay the deposit, we are ready to go from day 1. Step 6 is the final measurement stage. I use an app called Concepts that is typically known for architectural use, but it works perfectly for what I need it for. I move my design over from Procreate into the Concepts app, and it can generate measurements for me to scale based on how large I want the realistic piece to be. Step 7, it's time to order my materials. Based on my measurements, I looked at what leathers I would need for the design based on what kind of elements I was going to use in techniques. Birkenstock actually sent me a few different varieties of their own leather, so we did choose to use about half of Birkenstock leather and then half of leather that I supplied. I typically need some thinner leathers for some of the embossing work that I do, so we ordered all the leather from there. And finally, the last step, step 8, time to create. For this piece, I incorporated a 3D printed design of the Birkenstock bone pattern for one of the tiles. I did this to help with efficiency. This 3D printed part is going to be underneath the leather and the leather will be embossed on top of it. There are always hiccups when doing projects, especially one that is this large. So the one thing I ran into immediately was my adhesives. I chose some adhesives that were really harsh on these materials without testing them out first. So it really became a problem. You can see here I am touching up a corner where the adhesive ate apart some of the foam that I was using. So I'm glad I caught this very early on. Before I jumped headfirst into this idea, I wanted to test it out on a small patch of a 3D printed design just to make sure it worked first. Alright guys, so I've been procrastinating a little bit today because this is one of the hardest pieces of my piece. But what I'm going to do for the next couple of hours is apply glue under this leather and emboss this entire section. So I 3D printed this design. I'll be embossing and pushing the leather into this bone pattern. But the last time I didn't allow enough flex to the leather, so I almost messed it completely up. So I'm gonna use a lot of glue this time, and I'm just gonna be very, just very hands-on with it. So let's go. Final step to any project is the install. This piece looks gorgeous in this space, perfect fit for this brand in the store, and here is a sample of one of my smaller pieces.